It's here, everybody. The Aquarian age is upon us. With Pluto entering Aquarius today in the tropical astrological system, we can now feel the presence of perhaps a future sci-fi world actually integrating and perhaps even manifesting day by day into our 3D reality. As global powers square off against each other, how do we navigate these turbulent times to ensure that the new Earth timeline of heaven on Earth is ready and waiting for each and every one of us? My name is David Farrell, I'm from quantumplanet.world, and today I'm going to do a little energetic update about the situation as I see it, and how the energy looks to be unfolding, and perhaps where there may be confusion in our collective thinking, but also how do we step into that new Earth timeline so that each and every one of us can understand that we are truly the creators and manifestors of our own personal experience. So, some of you may well be aware from previous energetic updates that myself and my partner Bella have been doing for the last couple of months. We've actually been going through a process of astral clearing and teaching sessions with our QPW tribe. That's been a very, very profound experience. Many hundreds of people participated in that, both for individual and familial and even collective healing. And what we can say at the end of the process was that we all realized that actually in this moment we are stepping into a new paradigm. The new Earth timeline is actually here, but also at the same time there's a lot of confusion, particularly from people around us, and also we can say really in the collective too. But what is causing this confusion? Well, I'd like to share some of my own personal experiences actually in relation to this from really from most of this year. As many of you will know, back at the end of February, which is now about 9 months ago, in fact one whole Zolkin, or 1 Mayan year of 260 days, almost to the day really, I fell off a ledge in my garden in Mexico and fractured both of my heels into multiple pieces. Incredibly painful, and we can even say really some sort of death and rebirth process, but more of that in a second. But really this was a very symbolic incident for me personally, a very painful one, but also it allowed me to go into a deep meditational cycle for several months through being immobilized. And I used that time to go into deep meditation, to really leave my physical body. I definitely crossed the threshold of what we might consider life and death more than once, and I have to thank some of my beautiful tribe members, along with my partner, of course, Bella, for helping me through that process. When I look back now to some of the videos earlier this year that we did, I can see basically a dead man in front of the screen. It's very, very odd, and it doesn't even really feel like it's me. But that's not really the point of today's talk. Probably I'm going to do more of a movie or a book about all of that at some other point. But really what I want to share is that through that time of being immobilized, mostly being on my own actually for a large part of that process, particularly after the April 8th eclipse, that I would say, along with many of our tribe members and people I've spoken to, was a paradigm shifting moment, maybe even a world ending moment. But because it was an eclipse, it took 6 months to really come into our awareness, which then looped it really into the eclipse, I think, of September the 17th, so a few months ago now. And since then, we've been on a new timeline. Many people don't realize that. Many people still are wondering what is going to happen. But what I would like to share is that through the process of journeying and connecting really with the Christ consciousness energy, through working with my own DNA at the internal level, through rewiring myself, I was able to go further and further, we can say out, but really in, to myself, to explore my own inner space. And in doing so, I encountered many beings, including many off-planet beings that we might call extraterrestrials, although also I would say many of the beings I met were really future aspects of myself, but also the collective of brothers and sisters in our tribe, people that I'm connected to. And that really has given rise to a whole series of understandings about where we are at right now. And you know, there is some big news today coming out of Europe, and we can say also in the US, because the US is involved in this, that look scary. Lots of talk of World War III and nuclear Armageddon and people firing missiles and all of the rest of it at each other, all of which is potentially very scary for the masses. But from what I can share, it's really kind of empty of any energetic impetus. Over the last couple of years, I would say really since the end of 2020, many beings here on planet Earth reached out. Maybe some of you did this too, actually. The winter solstice of 2020 was incredibly powerful. We reached out to the Galactic Federation, but also our cosmic brothers and sisters, also we can say our cosmic ancestors, to ask for help. We invited them into this space here on Earth because we were up against it with everything that was being rolled out during those times, the so-called pandemic and everything that came with that. There was obviously a need for assistance, but really what we did, in my understanding, is that we called to ourselves from other timelines, integrated cosmic, human, future aspects of ourselves. But as I've been learning and as we've been teaching also over the course of the last 12 months on QPW, time is an illusion. The past and the future are all happening right here in the present. And what I have been perceiving, and from what I can tell from connecting with other brothers and sisters and also other channels, is that we really have the very strange experience now, almost a bit like Back to the Future in some ways, of being able to experience what we might call our future selves off planet, overseeing the transition here on planet Earth. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we've connected with that aspect of ourselves in 3D. That may or may not happen, could be kind of weird. But also to understand that maybe our future selves as cosmic humans are not necessarily how we perceive ourselves now. And for those of you who are used to maybe doing journey work into the astral realms, into the other dimensions, we perhaps do not look quite the same way in our spiritual energy form as we do currently in 3D. For some of us like myself, maybe that might be a blessed relief. Maybe it's exciting to think of ourselves as being somehow a little different to how we currently see ourselves in the mirror or even on a screen like this. But why am I sharing all of this? Well, first of all, I want to reassure everybody that from what I can see from my deep meditations, for the first time since 2020, really in the last month or two, I would say that the threat that was there, the energetic mafias, the cartel, the Caesarian mafia, the cabal, however you want to call this, energy that was there, that was manipulating, intimidating, and even blackmailing pretty much the entire population in different ways, has been removed. However, we still seem to have a series of things that don't quite make sense, and in fact we've been talking about a lot of these on the astral clearing sessions that we've been doing in QPW over the last few weeks. Things like chemtrails. We're still seeing stuff getting sprayed, even here in Texas, and I know that it's all over the US, in Canada, in Mexico too. My brothers and sisters in Europe telling me the same thing, and we actually talked about this on the call that we did on Sunday with our group. Which is like, well, we all know this has been going on for a decade or more, but how many of us are aware, say, of a global resource that tracks chemtrails, where people can offer that information and say, hey, I've just seen a whole bunch of stuff in the sky over this part of the country. Does anyone know of any airfields nearby where these might be flying out of? Or indeed, have any of us actually decided to try and track where these things are coming from, or, where they're launching from? Well, it may be a little difficult to do that because it seems like many of them are done either early in the morning or late at night, probably deliberately. But I did have a discussion with one of my friends recently about this, and we're like, well, why is this going on? Because to fund an operation like this requires a lot of money and oversight, and if, as I perceive, those things have been removed, what is actually happening here? Are these automaton NPCs maybe, or headless people, headless chickens, however you want to think about it, who are just turning up and doing the same old thing because that's kind of what they've been programmed for? Or are there still nefarious bad actors at play? Well, I think that what I really want to share today is that we can investigate all of this because we are in charge now. We are the creators of the New Earth timeline, and without getting too much into the political dynamics and logistics of what have been happening over the last couple of weeks, particularly here in the US, what I have shared before and what we've talked about within our tribe is that there was a collective impetus, and that collective impetus decided to put a certain individual on top of the podium. But also at the same time, what I've sensed, and also even did myself energetically, was like, well, if you want us to sign up to this new vision that you have of the future where everything's going to be different with lots of big promises, we're going to be watching you, all of you, and we're going to be watching your movements. And over the last 4 years, what I've also seen is that the truthing movement, the digital soldiers, so-called, have got better and better at decoding everything, which is also part of the New Earth to come. In the New Earth to come, there is a certain level of transparency that perhaps many of us are not used to, and it can be kind of startling to understand that in the new earth to come, there is no place for shadow. There is no place for us to hide anything. Not me, not my partner, not any of us in our tribe, but also not the politicians or the bad guys. And, again, without wanting to get into some of the big disclosures that are going on, if you've even tapped in a little bit to the disclosures from the P. Diddy stuff in the entertainment industry, you'll understand that the tentacles from that stretch far and wide. And I don't particularly want to go into that today. You can pretty much go into even YouTube now and see a whole bunch of videos that are hinting. They all seem very AI, interestingly. They also seem like they were created some months ago, which I find interesting, which kind of gives rise to what many people have said is a lot of this stuff already actually happened maybe 6 months ago, maybe even a couple of years ago. So here's the kind of interesting paradox, is that we seem to be watching a narrative being played out in front of us, maybe not for the likes of myself or any of you guys watching this video, but maybe for the masses. But from an energetic point of view, there is no oomph behind it. It's empty, so what I want to share with this point before I move on to really what I also want to share today is that with this impetus in mind, please bear in mind that whatever is being shown to us through the visuals, the optics, through the narratives on the goggle box or whatever social media we follow, is that it really isn't necessarily for the likes of us. What we can now do is start to call down heaven on earth into our own lives. All of the past timelines of pain and suffering and manipulation, they've all been left behind. And now we've come with collective intent into a quantum new earth timeline where we are the creators, we are God, as we've always been, but with a much more cohesive, integrated sense of ourselves, of our cosmic DNA, and how to work with all of this. So one of the interesting things that we've been working through on QPW is a process called the Stellar Nations Pathway, which allows us through our cosmology, through our cosmological we can say astrology, but really it's the charts behind our astrology. Our astrology is the blueprint with which we come in, goddamn midges, into this lifetime. But there is our soul's journey before we got here, and that soul has been through many, many different steps of evolution as a dragon being, as a primordial being, really is what the dragons are, as an elemental being, as an angelic being, perhaps, as a serpent being, as a great feline being. But these are really just mythological stories that tell us the processes that our cosmic ancestors, but also ourselves, went through from the Pleiades, from the Sirius star system, from the Nibiran star system, from the Andromedan star system, from Orion, and so on and so forth. So part of the great wake-up is remembering who we truly are. And in order to do that, we need to go inwards, and we actually need to rewire our DNA. However, we do need some help to do that, and that is where beautiful plants like dandelion can help. And if you don't know about the magic of dandelion as a DNA master at the highest levels of its intelligence, then definitely you want to check out some of the other videos we've been doing in the past. But with all of this in mind, we have been guided to release a special course, a 6-part course called Heaven on Earth, which is perhaps filling in some of the gaps that we never taught on our sister website beforehand, the Quantum Plant Healing website, which is really where we go into ourselves and we start looking at our primordial dragon selves, which is really through our inner elements, our air, fire, water, earth, and ether self. And in doing so, we can actually connect to our dragon selves, our air dragon, fire dragon, water dragon, earth dragon. And in doing that, we can then start to connect to the dragons in the landscape, which is really all part of the process of geomancy. So this course, Heaven on Earth, is going to bring together all of these different elements within ourselves and allow us to connect more consciously, with more integration on the inner planes. And really this is also a way of mastering the horizontal plane of axis with which we exist here on Earth. We will be going into another part of the course early next year, which is looking at the vertical plane through the chakra system and how to work with each of your chakras in a new way that allows you to connect as above, so below. But this part is really the as within, so without. And in doing so, we're going to take everybody on a six module course, really over 6 weeks. Each part is being released live, but can also be accessed at any time. And it's a long time since we've done one of these, actually, as a group, as a tribe. And we want to invite all of you into that space, but also to invite some of you who maybe watch our videos to come and join us on quantumplanet.world to be a part of our tribe. It's free to join, just takes 2 minutes to sign up. where we not only have all kinds of interactions. We have a very interactive website where people can message each other. We also do a series of live calls. We have lots of pathways and courses laid out already, looking at how to become multidimensional beings, how to time travel, how to work with plant medicine, and how to become masters of our own inner space. So I'm going to put a lot of links in the show notes here. We currently also have a special offer running until the 22nd of November on the Heaven on Earth course. If you click on the link in the show notes below, you will see what this course entails. But each week we will be going through a different aspect of this process. So the first week we'll be looking at various medicine wheels, which is really the container that this is all held within. And then the following modules will be looking at the aspects of air, the east, spring, fire, the south and summer, water, the west and autumn, and then the earth and the north and winter. And then finally we'll be looking at the energy of our etheric energy, and each one of these different directions of the medicine wheel also has a plant assigned to it. So we're going to be getting more into the dynamics of the plants again, but from a different perspective. So with air, it's dandelion. With the south, it's nettle. With the west, it's lady's mantle. With north, it's elder. And with ether, it's sacred basil or tulsi. And through bringing all of these different correspondences together, we're also going to be calling in the different elemental energies of the various types of astrology that we work with the Western Tropical, with the Sidereal, but also looking at the various energies of various different Mayan time wave glyphs, and also calling in various different aspects of our cosmological stellation selves, in this case particularly our dragon selves, because our dragons are our primordial selves, our Draco selves, and this is where the story of us as cosmic humans in this part of the universe begins. So if this sounds like something that you want to get your teeth into, please do check out the link. We do have the special offer running until the 22nd of November. But also really just wanting to put it out there in these final couple of minutes of this video that this could be a time of great upheaval in the world, and there could be actually a lot of genuine earth movements. We're seeing a lot of flooding happening across the planet. We're not sure necessarily whether these are natural processes, climate change, or maybe some kind of frequency device, weapon that's being used. But for sure we can tell from some of the videos coming out of Spain, places like Colombia and other parts of the world, that there are definitely floodings happening. So, you know, I think it's really, really important to stay centered, to stay in our hearts, but also to give us some inwards work to do during this time. And rather than get into perhaps avidly looking at the latest catastrophizing clickbait videos that YouTube or Rumble has to offer, all of which are actually quite interesting. I definitely watch quite a few of those videos myself, but we as a tribe, and as founders of this tribe, myself and Bill, are very much of the opinion that we don't need to clickbait and catastrophize in order to get people interested. We're trusting to the higher vibrational frequencies that all of you beautiful people out there who follow us have, and we're offering something to get your teeth into, maybe over a time during the winter, which our friend the Ascended Master Zach, channeled by our friend Janet of course, has advised, which is maybe to hunker down for the winter and engage in inwards reflection. Many channels saying it's a good time to do meditation, to get into breathing exercises, or to be like this under a beautiful tree doing some meditational work. So I think that's really it for today. Hopefully you've managed to make it to the end of this video. If you do, please contact me for a special gold star. Any of you who watch the videos know that I like to put this in at the end. And please always do comment, and for sure, definitely come over to quantumplanet.world and using the link below, join up to our free tribe, and perhaps join us for one of the free live calls that we do every week moving forwards, where we connect to our tribe members, we have sharings, we have discussions about different topics, and most of all, we also bring the vibration up, and collectively we are now thinking about how we can move forwards into the new earth as a community, and also how to reach out and connect to other communities. So if you'd like to be a part of ours and feel this is the time to bring heaven to earth, then we hope to see you all very soon. My name is David Farrell. It's been a pleasure to connect with you all once again. Big love to all of you, our brothers and sisters across the whole planet.